Let's talk about the new Star Wars movie. What's up, guys? With PattyTrills, aka Young Johnny Bravo, aka pretty big Star Wars fan. Reviewing the new Star Wars Episode 9: Rise of Skywalker. This is going to be a spoiler-free review, so don't worry about it. I'm not going to be spoiling anything if people haven't seen it yet. I'm just going to simply talk about things that I liked, didn't like, and kind of speculate a little bit, but all keeping it spoiler-free, of course. If you guys are excited, show your support, smash the like button, it's really appreciated. Definitely check all links in the description down below. Let's talk about what I liked about this movie. There's not a lot. There's not a lot that I liked about this movie, unfortunately. That kind of just summed up this movie. This movie's just kind of like, it's not bad, but it's also not good either. It's just kind of mid. It's a very mid movie, and that sucks, obviously, because it's Star Wars. And, like, not every Star Wars movie's been good. There's been plenty of bad Star Wars films, like Episode 1 and 2, and, you know, Solo, Episode 8. Like, there's definitely been mid movies before. But the fact that this is, like, I don't know, this whole trilogy, just, like, Episode 7, 8, and 9 kind of felt like not a lot happened, if that makes sense. Like, Episode 4, 5, and 6, there was, like, legit accomplishments, you know, a lot of development of character and, like, growth. And yes, this movie has that too. It just doesn't feel like it has the same amount of accomplishments or even, like, more. It just kind of feels like they didn't do as much with this whole trilogy. And, like, I know they're like, well, Palpatine's in Episode 9. He was supposed to be in there the entire time. Like, he's always been, like, the main villain pulling the strings. And I want to say bullshit. Because, yeah, Palpatine was in this movie. And he was cool. But there's no fucking way they were planning that in Episode 7 and 8. There's just no way. The way that they try to string this together, it really felt like just like damage control. Like, I feel like Episode 7 was accepted pretty well because it was kind of like another remake of Episode 4, but just updated, you know. And then Episode 8 happened, and I don't think Episode 8 was inherently bad. I just think there's a lot of bad decisions in 8, and characters were bad in there. But then since Episode 8 was received so negatively, it's like they try to damage control it and then, like, fix it in Episode 9 by weaving this weird fucking convenient plot that, like, it's always been Palpatine in the background. Kind of like how the prequels were. And then obviously in the original trilogy, Palpatine was, like, the Emperor or whatever. And it's like, I'm trying to keep this spoiler free, but there's so many like fan services in this movie, and I'm fine with fan service. It's cool to an extent, but this movie definitely rides on the you know, you remember that thing? Yeah, we did that. Remember that? Oh, do you remember that thing? Remember? Yeah, remember we did that thing too? Oh, that thing? Remember we did that thing too? And it's like, yeah, it's nice. It's a nice nod, but I don't care enough. I don't care enough. I want to know what's happening in the actual, like, plot of this entire trilogy. Another thing I didn't like, Rey is way too OP in this movie. Like, Rey is probably, like, the strongest Jedi, like, not counting Yoda, that we've seen on, you know, honestly, she could probably, like, that's how strong she is. Like, she is over fucking powered. And, like, the reason why they try to explain her being overpowered was kind of wild. And, like, for someone who's barely trained and is only trained, like, I think a year, because, like, Episode 7, she was looking for Luke. And then Episode 8, she didn't train too much. And then Episode 9, it's like maybe a year later. for someone who's hardly trained, she's like the LeBron James of Jedis. Like, she was just so overpowered, and it threw me off because I wasn't expecting that jump, like that fucking power gap that she has. But like, yeah. And then the way that they handle force properties in this in this movie, I just see. Okay, so this isn't really a spoiler, but you know, in episode 8, they have like Rey and Kylo kind of have those conversations with one another, and then with those conversations, they can kind of somewhat interact with one another. Like, there was the part when Kylo and Rey were talking, and it was raining wherever Rey was, and then like they finished talking, and Kylo's hand was like wet. So that happens. They don't ever fucking explain why that happens, but they do this in this movie more, and it just feels like a very convenient way to push the plot, to like rush it. Because this movie felt like it was supposed to be like 4 hours, but it was condensed to 2.5 hours. In order to get point A to point B, they needed to like speed up the process, and then by speeding up the process, a lot of the times it was just like force properties allowing that process to be sped up, and it was just weird. Like, there's a part where Kylo's looking for Rey, not really spoilers, and they're having their conversation, and then something happens, and Kyle's like, oh, that's where they are. We gotta go there immediately. And it's like, that just sped up the whole process of him trying to find Rey because of this conversation. And like, yeah, it's just, I don't know. I'm just kind of disappointed in this film. Like, it wasn't inherently bad. There were some decisions where I was like, what the fuck? But like, it wasn't super bad, but like, it wasn't good either. And it's just kind of sad because like, like episode 7 set up so many good things, you know? Like, in episode 7, you saw a stormtrooper turn good. Like, you've never seen that arc before with like a character. So I was really interested in Finn and John Boyega. And John Boyega's a really good actor, and I feel like they kind of wasted him in episode 9. Like, he's not really used that much. Rose is hardly in the movie in episode 9, but that's a good thing. Like, I feel like they deliberately had her not in the movie. Like, there's dead ass a scene where they're like, come on, come join. And she's like, oh no, I can't. I gotta go do something over here, which is off screen. It's pretty much just saying like, oh no, I can't. The fucking fan base hates me. I gotta stay off screen for you guys, you know? But yeah, like, so in episode 7, John Boyega's a stormtrooper that turned over to good, and that's a really good arc. And then like, Rey was another person from the desert, which we've already seen twice. So it's like, I wish they would have gave us a new arc about that. And the reason why she's from the desert, they explain in this movie, and they explain who her parents are, and they explain the connection. And it's such ass. It's just not, it's just like, come on. Like, there's just no fucking way the universe is that convenient and that small, you know? Like, it's just, this movie just does a lot of things for convenience sake, and I think they just, like, the writers are like, but what if we did this for that, for shock value? And they're like, do it, that sounds sick. And it's like, but it doesn't make any fucking sense. That's the issue. There's a lot of characters that are wasted in this film. Like I said, John Boyega's character, I felt like he sort of serves no purpose. There's these like villains that like work for Kylo, and like they do absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. And there's scenes where like the good guys like run away, and then around the corner like the bad guys, and it's like, oh, is something gonna happen? Nothing happens. Nothing happens. And then the one time they do something, they suck, which is a waste. And then more force properties that don't really make sense. Like there's a part where Rey's just kind of having conflict And as she tries to deal with conflict, more forced properties kind of come and push the movie along. And then she has force powers that really push the movie along. It's just, she's so overpowered. And I'm fine with a strong female lead. That's fine. I don't care. It's just like, I think they ramped her up too much. If they would have dialed it back a little bit, I would have been fine. I would have been okay with that. But the fact that they like put her really fucking practically almost God mode is just like, whoa. That is so unexpected. What the fuck? And yeah, this movie's weird. It's a weird movie. I'm just kind of disappointed, you know? Like, I wish it was done better. Not saying I could have made a better movie, but like, episode 9 is obviously damage control of episode 8. Like, I would have done episode 8 entirely different, and then by doing that, the byproduct of episode 9 would just inherently be better. Yeah, I'm just kind of disappointed, you know? Because, like, I love Star Wars, you know? Like, I own a lot of Star Wars shit. Like, these 2 shelves are almost, like, all Star Wars, you know? Like, I got pieces for days. For days. And, it's always been in my childhood. Like, I've always seen every Star Wars movie in theaters as they come out. Besides the original trilogy, because I wasn't born yet. But from, like, 1, 2, 3, then 7, 8, 9, I always went to the theaters to see it. And, yeah. There's one thing that I did like in this film. They had a couple, like, cameos. Like, not cameos. It was more like voiceover cameos from, like, people from previous movies. It was cool. Like, people I didn't expect that they would come back. It was cool to hear their voice. You know? It was cool. It was cool to hear, like, that character. Yeah, I just... What would I rate this movie? I don't know, like a 7? 6.5, 7, because even like okay, let's say if I turn my brain off and just enjoy the movie for what it is, it's not that entirely entertaining either. Like, that 2.5-hour movie really feels like a 2.5-hour movie, because it's like, it's kind of like just like a side quest for a film, you know? It's like, we have to get this thing, but in order to get that thing, we have to go do that. In order to go do that, we have to go here. And that person wants a thing before we can go get our thing to the original thing. You know? And there's not a lot that really happens. Like, there is, but it's just like none of it feels like... It's, you know, none of it feels like there's a lot at stake. Yeah, like they're like the characters are in peril, but it just doesn't feel like their lives are really on the line, because you're like, they'll be fine, you know? I don't know. I'm just kind of disappointed with this film. It sucks. Not like the movie, but like, it just sucks that I was disappointed. It just sucks that the trilogy kind of wrapped up the way it did. You know, I felt like they could have done so much more. It's fucking Star Wars. You could have done so much more with this trilogy. You could have done so much more with the characters and the development, and, you know, I just... Yeah, fan service can't make a movie good. Fan service can't make a movie good. That's like the hard issue about that. But yeah, that was my spoiler-free review. I don't know if that made any sense by any means, but like, if you guys enjoy, I was trying to keep it spoiler-free. I always feel that way. Every time I do a spoiler-free review, I always feel like none of it makes sense, but that's just because I can't talk about what happens in the film. You can only get like a general idea of it. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed, show your support, smash the like button, support greatly appreciate it. Definitely check out the link subscription down below, Twitch merchandise, if you're into that. And with that being said, I'm gonna get the fuck out of here. You guys are PattyTrills. I'm out. Ayaga.